your girl Tynesha Renee here. I am very excited for today's episode on Tynesha Talks. We have a channel favorite returning back, Miss Tara Chantel. I know you guys love when she's on my channel, and I love when you come in because I feel like we're each in our own respective different lanes, but our frequency is just always we here, like we vibe. So I know it'll be a good discussion. Yes. Today's topic, I don't know how some of y'all gonna feel about it. You might be triggered, but it's okay, we'll work through it. We are going to be discussing non-monogamy. Specifically, we're going to be talking about if monogamy is something that is realistic for most men, and if women should be considering entering non-monogamous relationships.
Are they ready?
I don't know if they're ready, but stay ready till you gotta get ready, okay? Now, I just want to clarify that when we say non-monogamy, it's not saying that men are just sleeping around with multiple different women, having casual sex with everybody. That's not the case. We're saying that it could be a situation where men are polygamous, so they're married to more than one woman, or they could practice polyamory, where they just have intimate relationships with multiple different women. And I know Tara, she's going to touch on some other things too, because she's a non-monogamy advocate, so we're going to get into all those things, okay?
Come on, think outside the box. And I want to clarify, because I think people think of non-monogamy or polyamorous instantly sex, like, oh, you having sex with everybody. That is not the case. So let's expand our mind to not even ultimately go towards sex as the first result.
They're not all horny individuals. Okay. Okay, so how do you feel about monogamy? Let's start there.
Monogamy, I knew it was not for my spirit when I felt like it's like rules and I should do this. I have to be a certain way. I have to act a certain way. It was like a certain type of unrealistic expectations that I knew I could not follow or live up to. I really felt caged in. Like my spirit felt caged in. Like, I can't look at nobody else. I can't talk to nobody else. I can't sit with nobody else. I can't be me. And I'm an outgoing type of person. Yeah. So if you are offended that I am talking to another person, we're going to have a problem.
Okay. So I think that's an important point. This idea of forced monogamy in a sense, because I think that a lot of people are here, especially men. What you just explained, I've talked to some of my guy friends and they're like, yo, I really love the girl who I'm with, but I feel like I'm suffocating. I can't breathe. I feel like I'm supposed to be this husband, this father, and this is really not who I want to be. My instincts don't align with this. My nature doesn't align with this. So what do you think about men and monogamy? Do you feel like monogamy is realistic for most men? Or, I guess a follow-up question, do you think that monogamy is realistic for most women?
So, I've learned that even because we're still like animals, like in our species, it's not realistic, like us being monogamous. Yes, we can do it with like one person for a time period, but if you look at your lifespan, you have multiple relationships, just how you have multiple friends, you have multiple family, you love multiple people. Yeah. You're not supposed to just love one person.
So where do you think this idea of monogamy comes from? If that's the case, why do we push so hard for monogamy in our society?
I think it's out of control. I think because they can control two people, but imagine if all of us all love each other in a group of us, a whole gang out here. If you messing with her, you gotta mess with him, her, like all of us. You're closed off from the world. It's just you and your partner. It's this nuclear family that keeps you in your own bubble. It's like my family, mine, not we. Village.
So you think it keeps us separated?
Yes. It keeps us not having a tribal mentality no more. It really takes a village to even raise a little human. But now we don't even have a village mentality no more. All we thinking about is my family, my cub. You know, it's none of this
Yeah, that's real. So it's interesting that you say that. I met someone who practices polygamy. So they're in a situation where it's a man and then there's two women, and they literally said the same thing. So one of the things they talked about is having a village mentality, and the kids just feel like they have two mothers. It's more of an extended family, and it works for them because they just have more people there to support them. And so I thought that was interesting, because I think that we kind of see it in the opposite way, where we think of these non-monogamous relationships as being dysfunctional. It's going to cause a lot of havoc in your household. But if we are having a village mentality, like our ancestors did from Africa, okay, Is that something that would be more beneficial for our family units today?
Oh my goodness, I just saw Women King, and I'm telling you, like, this sisterhood, the unity that they came together, it's like we dying for each other.
Yeah.
We don't got that type of energy. It's like, okay, I'll see you later. Like, it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's a group mentality. If we really want to conquer this illusion and this reality, we have to stick together. We have to put our differences aside. And I think the main reason why people are so timid or afraid of non-traditional is because of jealousy.
Talk about it. That's me all day. I already know. So funny, when I was talking to the person that I mentioned who's in the polygamous marriage, they were asking me like, well, what are your viewpoints are? And I was like, you know what? Talking to you was always so real, and you make logical sense, but I just can't do it. Like, I know me, I can't do something that's not monogamy. And they were like, well, why? And it wasn't like pressuring me, but they really wanted to know why. And I was like, I mean, I just feel like I just want to have my person, and that's my best friend, and I would feel insecure. And they were like, so ego, possession, jealousy. And I'm just like, right? And so I'm sitting here looking like, well, dang, like I've always said, and maybe this is like a Scorpio tendency, I know I could be possessive, right? Over anybody who I love. It could be family, friends, someone I'm dating. Like, once I have my people, it's like, these are my people, I'm protective over them. But yeah, I mean, could that be a big reason why people are choosing one partner? And is that a healthy reason to choose one partner? Because it's a sense of ownership versus respecting their autonomy.
Wow, like your friend said, it's ego. Most people are operating ego and identifying that with self and their partners and their relationships and what they do for a living. It's all ego. So imagine taking yourself out the equation. All right, take yourself out. Can this person really just be free to be themselves and just allowing them to fall? Like, not trying to catch them. Let them fall. Let them make their mistakes. Let them grow. Let them explore their sexuality. Let them explore themselves. Like, are we able to let them?
Yeah.
Because I
don't know.
I do feel jealousy rising up. I had to check in with myself. Like, oh, why am I feeling like this? Like, why am I feeling a bit insecure? And I have to check that in with myself. And I think most people have to check in with themselves instead of checking their partner.
That's true. I think just thinking about dating, I've had those conversations with myself where I'm like, I'm mad if somebody didn't text me back when I wanted them to. You didn't call me, you didn't try to see me this number of times. I feel away, and I'm like, well, why do you feel like that? You know, are you really caring about the person, or is it just that feeling of attention that they're giving you that you feel like you're addicted to?
Because we be addicted to love. Love is the biggest addiction right now. And that's why I realized we don't really be in love. We be in attachment. And what are we attaching ourselves to make it feel like this is us, or we have this ownership over this person? That's what we have to really dissect, because a lot of times it can really just stem off of what we want instead of like what's the best overall for this person. If we genuinely love, if we're operating from love, we want them to like live their life and we want the best for us. But we got to stop being so invested in other people and be more invested in ourselves. That's the biggest thing. We be too invested. That's why we be so offended when they do certain things to us.
Oh, goodness. So you said a mouthful. Okay, so love. Let's talk about love, because I think that love is one of those things that we all think we have felt at some point in our lives. But when you really sit down and ask someone, well, what does love mean? What does it mean to be in love with someone? We get tongue-tied, we start stuttering. Like, people have a hard time vocalizing what that means. So to you, is there a difference between loving someone and being in love with someone?
Being in love, I think we get so confused because of these fairy tales, like falling in love. We should not be falling. We should intentionally walk towards someone as a connection of building and growing. Like, that should be the main focus. Like, let's grow. But
I'll take a sip to that.
so that's already already got us like out of whack because we're not even standing up straight. We falling in love. We gotta just be love. And I think that's what most people are seeking, for someone to love them or do things for them instead of genuinely just being love. Because that's our natural instinct, is love within ourselves. So if you are just being love, your ego is not really involved. So now you are just, I feel like you're being in your natural state. Your natural state of elements. So I feel like love is natural. Love is freeing. Love is like how you treat yourself overall.
Yeah.
What about you? What is love?
So I definitely think there's a difference between love and love. I definitely think there's a difference between love and being in love with someone.
Yes.
I think that the biggest thing with love is that it's selfless. It should be selfless. So like you said, our natural instinct is to be love. I think that a lot of people don't have that form of self-love, and so we're looking for other people to complete us.
Wow.
And that's not love, but we substitute that for love. Like this person, that's where trauma bonding and things like that come in. So I think that when you love someone, the easiest way to think about it is how you might feel about your friends that you pick, right? You pick your friends for a reason. You guys respect each other's autonomy. You're there for one another. You're a support system for one another. Even though you might not agree with everything that that person does, you still love them for who they are as a person.
Yes.
So that's general love. In love, obviously more in a romantic sense, but I think that when you're in love with someone, you take the selfishness out of it. It's very selfless. So I can be in love with someone but realize that I might not be the best fit for them, and because I care so much about them and it's selfless, I can detach myself from that person because I know I'm not good for their well-being.
Yeah. If we're more on a conscious love, it is like taking yourself out the equation. But then like in love to me right now is unconscious, and it's like infatuation. Like you're putting yourself last and you're putting somebody before you. I don't think that's not healthy overall. But we're taught in this society, like, you gotta put people before you.
Yeah.
So now it's just like, oh, you selfish if you putting yourself first. Like, and it's very confusing. And it got a lot of people confused. And that's why I think most people are seeking love instead of loving themselves first.
That's real. And you know, it's interesting that you say that, because at one point I would have described being in love as saying that I love, like, I'm putting someone before myself, right? Not saying that I'm not taking care of myself, but I'm just thinking of that person first. But now I think I would say the same way that I love myself and I prioritize myself, I can still do that with another person, like still have that same mindset, and it's more of a balance versus all my energy goes to them and then I fall below that.
Right.
Yeah. Crazy.
Because that's really being disobedient to God. Because God is in us. So we not treating ourselves right. We're not doing right by God.
Yeah.
And that's the most important relation we should be having, is with God.
God. The Most High.
Whoever you looking up to. But it's something that is a higher source, a higher power out there that we should be putting our devoted energy, not putting other people on a pedestal. No, like that we should not be living for other people. We should be living for God.
You know what's interesting? This thought randomly just crossed my mind. So in the Bible it says that you're not supposed to idolize another man the way that you would God. But in a way, are we idolizing these men that we're laying down with, or idolizing these women that we're laying down with? That's not godly.
That's what I'm like, this is a distraction from our true source of relationship that we should be having. But I think we need some type of visual that we have somebody in front of us, and so that helps us like operate from love. But I think that's why so many relationships fail, is because God is not the first person in your life. God is not the focal point in your relationship.
I agree. Speaking of God, because I know that one of the reasons why people are so heavy into monogamy is because they feel like it's biblical. Anything aside from being man and wife, one man, one wife, is not holy. But if you know your Bible and you read your Bible and you learn about people like Hannah and you know everyone else who had a spouse who had more than one wife, technically monogamy doesn't contradict what was in the Bible. So if we are, you know, following that logic, why do you feel like we push so hard for monogamy? Are there any other benefits aside from the ego and things like that that you think monogamy provides?
it provides when someone transitions up out of here, they are the first person, like they get in the funeral together, like that type of stuff. Like they're the person who like figures out, okay, I'm gonna make the arrangements for your home going.
Oh, so they're your healthcare proxy. Monogamy gives you a healthcare proxy.
And you know, like when it's all said and done, it's like, that's what I'm like, that's a great benefit to like have that a life partner in that aspect, because we all have to transition up out of here. It's like, who gonna organize this farewell going for me? Okay.
Yeah, I think that with the research that I've done, one of the benefits of monogamy, they talked about STDs, of course. I think that's a big thing. So just thinking of like a health aspect. And I think at one point the reason why they pushed for monogamy is because men wanted to be able to kind of provide certainty for the paternity of their children. So back in the day when like women didn't have nothing, and men, you know, provided the resources, they wanted to make sure that what they were handing off went to their biological children and possibly not someone else. So everyone just kind of pushed for monogamy. But we're not in that space anymore.
Oh my goodness, time is evolving. So now what do we do in this 21st century with technology, with all these different type of resources and knowledge? What do we do here? We have to evolve. But they want us to go back to the good old days so bad. I don't think those were the good old days.
No. Oh yeah. Oh God. I talk about this all the time. Like, they were not really happy back then. There were women trying to poison their husbands, and so we talk a lot about grandmas and why relationships aren't lasting like they were before. And it's like, okay, when we're considering the health score, I guess you could say, of a relationship, are we looking at the longevity of a relationship, so the quantity in years, or are we looking at the quality of a relationship? And I think that might be a little sidebar, but I feel like that's what a lot of people overlook.
Yeah, the time, the length of being with someone does not equate to like a genuine happiness within yourself. Like, we gotta stop thinking like a long-lasting relationship is goals. They might be miserable together.
Yeah,
it's okay to have the seasons up, seasons change. Like, okay, I don't know how to let go.
Oh,
some people are really just here for a certain amount of time and season.
I felt that.
You wanted somebody forever.
Yeah.
No, they might just be here for the moment. Why can't we just enjoy that? And I feel like a lot of people don't know how to just go with the flow.
Oh yeah, no. See, but the thing is, like, so I think what people struggle with, and I'm speaking for myself, maybe y'all can relate, going with the flow can kind of be a double-edged sword, because I think women don't know how to balance going with the flow, but we have a direction that we're trying to head and we have an end goal, versus going with the flow, you just want to be casual and I want something different. So I think that women feel like we need to know what's happening, like we have a commitment that's going on, like that makes us feel more secure, because we might be used to men who sold us dreams and told us that, you know, you were just going with the flow, we'll see how things go, and ended up nowhere.
What be the goal?
That's a very valid question, because I think that people don't have those conversations in the beginning. So you might have a goal in your head, he might have a goal in his head, but they're not meshing with each other. So you're right. What is the goal, child?